Is safety first? In this video, I'm going to talk to you about why safety is first, it's our top priority, it's a value, and it's also always. So I'm going to share with you a touching story, a story of observation, which I feel is pretty common in the industry, and how you can make safety a fundamental part of your career and really keep it top of mind. So I once heard a speaker, his name is Jeff Espenship, and he did an absolutely fantastic job. And so I'm going to paraphrase his story in a way that I don't think will take away from any of his keynotes or make anybody upset, but it was really quite fantastic. And he told a story, which to me was pretty touching, about how he used to fly planes and actually transport these. These were show planes for like air shows. Transport and fly planes to these different air shows, but he also had a day job. And there was this one side job that he had, and he had asked his brother and another companion to fly that plane over to that air show, but the plane crashed and nobody survived, and it was his brother and his mom and dad, and he were very distraught at this. And he was telling this story and referencing that in some of those old prop planes, you have what's called hydraulic lock. And that's where you get fluid inside of the actual cavity, and your pistons can't go all the way down, and so the propeller would stop. So you have to, in those old planes, do manually a certain amount of rotations around for the propeller to make sure that you don't have hydraulic lock and that everything's fine. And so he's telling me this, or actually the whole group, this story in this really neat conference. Great speaker. I would highly recommend him if you ever want to talk about safety. He discusses in the story how there was one time when he was about to take off, and his brother's job was to do the propeller, and it was his job to take care of and prepare the plane. And there was a storm coming, and he wanted to get up and out before the storm hit. So he was like, hey, hold on, we don't have time, hop in, let's go. And so I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they're gonna crash. But no, he was like, you know what happened once I said, let's just, pause and like, let's not go ahead and do all the propeller turns? He was like, nothing. We reached our end destination totally fine. There was nothing wrong. We were all good. And so I'm like, wait a minute, where is this going? But then he gets to the point where his brother and his companion had crashed and died. It turns out that they did not do the full checks. And he ties this concept, these two concepts together, and says that he set an example. As soon as he was like, there's a storm, I've got to get up fast, let's go ahead and skip this key step from a safety standpoint. He set the example and the standard for his brother, which then ultimately caused his death. And there's this really neat phrase that I learned at that conference, which I had never heard before, is that safety is always. I remember starting in construction and somebody said, safety is number one. Safety is our priority. I was like, okay, I believe that. Then I went to DPR and they were like, safety is not a priority. Priorities change. Safety is a value. It's a core value. And I was like, okay, I love that. Then I heard at this conference, it's not a priority. It's not a value. It's always. And I'm like, okay, I love that. I love all of them. The bottom line is safety is the thing. It's a mindset. And how we do one thing is how we do everything, and our example means quite a bit. And one of the things that he said was when I think it was the FAA, but anyway, the investigators came and started asking, is there a protocol to make sure you don't have hydraulic lock in these prop planes? Yes. Are you sure it was followed? And this was the moment where everybody was kind of stunned. His memory went back to the time when he took a shortcut, and he had to admit it. And he realized that in part, he was responsible for his brother's death. And it was a very touching story. We hear stories like that all the time. And actually, I have a story of my own, which I'll tell you, where my first boss he was everything to me. Like, he coached me, supported me. I used to live in his guest house. He would take me to work. Trained me, everything. I hung out with this guy's family, helped, play with the kids every now and then. It was absolutely fantastic. I just love this guy. And the company did not have a good safety culture, and there was a lot of bad examples being set and just kind of winging it. One day, while his dad was driving a blade, he stepped outside of a tilt panel, got caught between and run over, and the blade cut off his head and killed him. This is a father accidentally killing his son. That story shook me to the core. Like that's my story. Like I mean, obviously I wasn't the dad, but that happened to me in my life. And so you think about this, I keep thinking about this concept of example. And then I'll give you a third story. The third story that comes to my mind is we were walking, and they were multifamily projects. We were walking with this developer and builder and talking about operational stability and the key things that needed to be in place for them to really win and execute. And we were going through all of the requirements, and the superintendent was like, yeah, I'm on board. I do that. Yeah, I'm going to set the example. And I was like, great, okay. So we come back the next month to a visit, and I see him on the top of the building, and the parapet was like, it's not even a parapet, it was like a roof curb, was like 12 inches. So he was 4 stories up in the air without fall protection, measuring down to his assistant superintendent, his helper. And somebody had said, why is this helper not calling out the boss? I'm like, hey, the example has got to be set from the top here. Now, yes, he could have called him out. Yes, I hope we have that culture. Yes, it's a priority, it's a value, and it's always. But that superintendent, by going on that roof, said it's okay, safety is not a priority, it's not a value, and it's not always, and basically set the tone for the rest of the job. And that job had problems with safety because it wasn't in here. It wasn't in here, right? And I see that when I go around the construction industry through the United States. As much as you might not like me for saying this, as much as you might believe that it's up to the workers and the foremen and everyone else to be responsible for their own safety, that is not having respect for human nature. That's not how human nature works. Human nature is that they will prioritize their own lives less than they prioritize human social groups. So if they want to be liked or get significance or love and connection or certainty from another human being who says safety is not a priority, a value, or always, they are not going to keep themselves safe. So saying it's up to each individual person to be safe is passing the buck, unless you say it is the supers and the PM's job and the PX and the GS to make sure it's safe, and that they will not tolerate anything other than that. And having that environment, it is then also the individual's job to be safe. But it cannot be one. It has to be both. It is your job to send people home safely. It is your job. The women and men and children who send their loved ones to work every day are counting on you to send them there to safety. So it must be a priority, it must be a value, and it must be always for you. So there's 3 steps that I want you to consider when you're embracing safety in your career. Learn it. I know the OSHA 30 trainings are hard. I know it's boring to go to scaffolding training. I know it's hard to go through and create the orientations and to get familiar with your employer's environmental health and safety manual. I understand that these things are hard, but you have to do it. Step 1 is education and knowing what you're doing. Step 2 is you must implement it, meaning that you must have environmental, meaning job site, control of the safety, the organization, the cleanliness, and how everything is designed to keep people safe. You're going to have guardrail. You're going to have lifelines. You're going to have safety nets. You're going to have to make sure that everything is implemented in the field. And most importantly, number 3, hold the line. A lot of people disagree with me on this, but I'm going to tell you, this is important. Like, I personally will not tolerate people being unsafe. If I see somebody without their hard hat, safety glasses, fall protection, no PTP, not doing what they're supposed to be doing, I will send them to safety. That means they get to go home and find out, do they need the training, the resources, or an attitude adjustment? What do they need? And then they can come back the next day and go through orientation. I will not tolerate it at all. And some people are like, oh, Jason, that's really rough. Okay, do it your own way, but you can't tolerate it. I remember another superintendent saying, Jay Money, I don't like your approach. I'm going to walk the foreman twice a week on site through every area, and we're going to point and look, and I'm going to hold them accountable. And it worked, and his job sites were just as clean as mine. I don't care how you do it, but you can't tolerate it. If somebody is unclean, unorganized, unsafe, without safety glasses or a hard hat, you said it was okay. You gave permission. You signed off on it and said, I will allow that. Because if you didn't allow it, and if you actually cared, don't be mad, still like and subscribe to the video, but if you wanted it to change, you would get it up here and you would stand up, step up, and you would say, no more. It's going to change. I will set an example. I will enforce the rules. I will not tolerate this. As soon as you decide not to tolerate it, it will stop tomorrow. You have to take ownership. You are responsible. And so once you do that, you will know that it is your first priority. It is a value inside, and it is always, and it's never off of your mind. I love the concept until you feel responsible for everybody on site, their health and well-being. You don't get it, right? So here are just a couple of tips. Number one, safety should be the first thing that you do every day. Meaning you go out and do a site walk, you check on it, you make sure everybody's ready to go. Number two, safety is covered in every meeting. Meaning every time you're in a buyout meeting, you're in a pre-construction meeting, you're in a team meeting, you're in a pull plan, you're in a huddle, whatever the case may be, safety is always discussed. Three, project managers, PXs, GSs take field walks in addition to your supers, your assistant supers, and your FEs. Make sure you're getting out in the field and not just trusting safety's happening, but you're seeing it and it's up to your standard. And four, do not tolerate a lack of safety. I don't care how you do it, but you cannot tolerate it. So I just want to close with this concept. You would not do any meeting or any effort or anything on your job site if you thought it wasn't going to make money. You wouldn't do anything on your job site if you thought we weren't going to do it right. And so if those two things are true and in place, why would you ever go do something or hold a meeting and think for one moment or not be sure that you could do it safe? So if you weren't willing to lose money, and if you weren't willing to lose the business aspects of it, we should never lose the aspects of safety, because the safety and health and well-being of our people is not only our first priority, but it's a value that we hold. It's always, and it is number one. So I hope you've enjoyed this little video about Is Safety First. We're going to link you to a blog post covering this information down below. I hope you enjoy it. On we go.